Welcome to SoCal Sports Report's 88th live podcast. I'm your host, John Stellman, along with Vince Morales, John Adams, and today's lineup will lead off with the very exciting, very rivalistic soccer match we had at Carson over the weekend between LAFC and the LA Galaxy. In a short period of time, this is only LAFC's second year. They were an expansion team last year. This thing is developing quickly into a rivalry. It was a good match. 3-2, the Galaxy won. And the funny thing about that, we've been talking at least I've been talking all year about how the LAFC, with their impressive stats, is the number one team in Major League Soccer. Yet they have never beaten the Galaxy. They have lost 2 and tied 2. So they're going to have to get that straightened out before the playoffs, if they should happen to meet in the playoffs. Because if they do meet in the playoffs, they're going to have to beat the Galaxy, and they haven't been able to do it in 4 meetings. The hat trick for Zlatan. Is that his name?
Yeah, Zlatan.
His second of his career, and fittingly, Carlos Villa scored all 2 goals for the LAFC. So we'll talk about that for a bit. I've got a few analogies we'll throw out there. Vinny, what were your initial impressions of that match?
Yeah, on paper, it's all LAFC, right? But anytime Ibrahimovic is on the pitch, it's he can do some just ridiculous stuff, and his goals were amazing. He's bigger than anybody else out there. He's stronger, even at 38 years old. He's just a poacher. He's just right there. So that's really the difference in these rivalry games in the derby, right? That's the difference. And again, I wasn't a big Bradley fan when he was coach of the national team. I always thought he could get out coached. It looked like he got out coached here. The shape of his offense, and they just weren't. Nothing was happening for them, right? It just not a lot happening on offense. And Vela was, again, he was great, but they had some chances, but they couldn't finish, and they got a little frustrated, and Ibrahimovic finalized on everything he had. So, are the LAFC a better team than the Galaxy? Absolutely, but there's a sort of a big brother thing there.
That second goal, the header, was incredible. And this guy, Ibrahimovic, is so emotional. Boy, he's running around, jumping up on his teammates' shoulders, racing around the. You think he was a 16-year-old? I mean, he was really excited, really into it, and very emotional. And that third goal, he was crossing the net, right to left, and he kicked with his left foot back into the corner. I mean, this guy's got so much talent. I don't know how you defend the guy, but
it's so much talent, and then again, it shows the complete and absolute disparity between the European League talent and the talent in the United States and in North America. In Major League Soccer, it just doesn't compare. A 38-year-old guy who had injuries and was essentially washed up in the European leagues, is an absolute star in MLS. And so, Ibrahimovic was fantastic in that first game against LAFC, where they were down 2 goals and they came back. Right. I mean, it was just fantastic. And so it's become a little bit of a one-sided rivalry in that regard. But where is it going to end up? Where is it going to end up? For one game, you can out-coach Bradley, and that's going to be the issue in the playoffs for LAFC.
Yeah, you were saying that you didn't like some of Bradley's offensive setups.
Well, I don't think they adapted well. I don't think they adjusted well. I don't think he was kind of late in substituting to try and get away from some of the things that they were doing, where the Galaxy on defense were, their shape was such to where they just couldn't get on, they couldn't strike. The LAFC couldn't get in the middle. They couldn't send balls to the corner. They just weren't adapting well to the structure and the form of the Galaxy's defense, and it was very clear. And they were getting a little frustrated, and they had a few chances early.
Yeah,
but the LA Galaxy were the better team. They just played better
Right.
from the very start.
And I think they had trouble. Looked like they had trouble getting set up on offense. They never seemed to, get after it like they should.
Yeah.
There was some talk during the week about who was the better player, Ibrahimovic or Carlos Villa. And somebody brought up a point. Villa's 30, and the other guy's 38, 37, 38. But are you talking about who's the better player today, or was I have a hard time seeing that.
Ibrahimovic.
Was he a better player at 30
Yeah.
than Villa was
Probably.
today?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, and a greater character, a greater personality.
Great personality.
So look, Vela is great. He's a great striker, and he can score. And if the LAFC wins a title, it'll be because of everything that he has done and the kind of pressure that he puts on other defenses. You just didn't see much of it. They didn't string together a lot of passes. They just didn't.
Yeah.
They just
Looked
didn't
like
get a lot of those great opportunities.
Maybe the Galaxy defense took them out of their game. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, you just hope at the very end when you see it all come to fruition at the very end that you're hoping that these guys are on two opposite sides of the draw, that you see them. I got, obviously it's an East versus West thing, right? So they meet in the finals of is that how?
No, they meet in the West final.
That's what I'm saying. They would meet in the West final.
They should meet in the final, really.
Yeah, right. So one is over here and two is over here, right? You meet them and so that would be a great West final, which kind of looks like it would be kind of like a final game, right? But it all comes down with team, right? It's yes, I think he took it on his shoulder and won the game out by himself, but obviously LAFC is going to have to do their homework and find out that we got to shut this guy down and let somebody else beat us, right? So hopefully they've done their homework, but I'm really curious to see how LAFC rebounds from this loss.
Exactly.
and see how they play from this point on. So again, how many more weeks do we have actually until this thing's over with? I have no idea
how many games they play.
I'm not a.
I know they play one
I
more
don't
time
tape
at
the MLS is what I'm trying to say. So, but again, you got the two top teams right here. Within 20 minutes from each other on the freeway, which is great for Southern California, and you just hope that it turns into a West final, that it's going to be great for LAFC being their first year or second year. So, so far it's got a lot of excitement in town. So
they might be the most successful expansion team in all of sports. I mean, they made the playoffs last year in their first year, and I don't know. I know they lost to Salt Lake, Real Salt Lake,
the Vegas Golden Knights of soccer.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I can compare these two teams a little bit with the Lakers and Clippers. The Galaxy's been around like the Lakers have. They have the older player like the Lakers do. They were born in 1996. They have 5 MLS Cups. They let's see. They won in 2002, 5, 11, 12, and 14. Landon Donovan, 141 goals, our all-time leading scorer. Robbie Keane had 104. Kobe Jones, 82. Carlos Ruiz, 69. And then David Beckham was with the team from 2007 to 2012. So they're the established team that's been around, that has the history, had the fan base, and had the older superstar like the Lakers. The LAFC is a little more like Clippers. They haven't been there yet, but they're young, and they've got the younger. They've got the Carlos might be compared to Kawhi Leonard.
Right. I mean, they're young, which means look at they've won the playoff. They've gotten the playoffs the first 2 years, which is great, right? And they have a great fan base there. They got a great stadium. They got a lot of backing behind them.
Yeah.
So and it does remind me of kind of like the Giants and the Jets kind of deal. They're in a major town they have enough people that can back both. So the fan base for both clubs are really strong, even though they are smaller stadiums. But it's a great. I think the LAFC is a team that's going to continue to be successful, and it's great for soccer if you got both teams that are playing at a high level. So
I wonder how many fans these teams could draw if they had bigger stadiums.
Oh, yeah, I think
Could they draw?
at least a quarter more.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah.
What do those stadiums hold? 18, 20,000, something like that?
I think 25.
Oh, the Chargers pack it out. Yeah, 20,000 people.
The Galaxy outdrawn the Chargers.
Dignity Health,
Yeah,
whatever. Field.
is it what it is now?
Yeah, Dignity Health. The digs in the bank.
The digs, yeah.
But like you
Chargers
said,
dig.
12 more games for the Galaxy.
12 more?
Or for the,
LAFC.
yeah. 13 for each of them. LAFC and LA Galaxy have 13 more games.
But do they
each.
play ever
Yeah,
again?
they'll probably play one more game.
play back.
They'll probably play at LAFC, right? to finish off.
25th of August.
I'd love for it to be the end of the season.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is October-ish.
Yeah.
pretty close. But like you say, it's good for soccer. It's good for Southern California. And
And then you get a game like this, and now all of a sudden it's like, what is MLS doing? They're playing like what, Tijuana?
No, they're playing-
I mean, they're playing.
they're playing teams from
They're playing like
Mexico.
some
They're doing-
sort of cup,
Yeah.
California Cup or Countries
really?
Cup or
Right in the middle of the
Nations
season.
Cup. Yeah, just like they do in
Is this our all-star game?
English Premier. No, it's more like like the English.
It's like
Premier.
Chelsea's playing Barcelona type of thing.
Yeah, that's. I never did quite understand that. Tyler Skaggs' private memorial was yesterday. Was in the morning, but televised. I watched it. It's very moving. I don't think anybody in that packed church didn't say that he was his closest friend. He was a very humble guy, very loved. I think it was his agent that talked about when Tyler was over at his house. His kid brought some of the neighbors in, and Tyler gave them all balls. And
That was his financial advisor.
was it the financial advisor?
Yeah.
Yeah, he opened his heart up to the kids, and he just seemed like a real genuine guy. I think Andrew Haney broke up considerably. He had a very difficult time, understandably. Garrett Richards was there. He was very good. I thought it was very admirable of Carly. She was not going to speak.
Yeah, she was
She
was strong.
Yeah, she said that he really, supported her, and was the reason she was able to get up there. And she did a very, very nice.
No, she held her own strongly.
She did. She was very good. It was a very good service. I loved Tyler Floof, who I think played for Minnesota, but grew up with Skaggs in Santa Monica. He's talking about the two of them. He said, I can remember when Tyler and I used to go to downtown Santa Monica and race HELL.
Yeah.
And then he looked around. Oops, I forgot.
Yeah, they were in church.
Yeah, I forgot
St.
where he
Monica's.
was. But I think overall it was long, but it was very well put together, very meaningful, something I'll remember. And you just don't realize how this guy affected so many people. He affected in different, not just sports guys. I mean, neighbors, relatives, friends. He was all over the place, and it's just really, 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 really sad that it had to come to an end. But yeah, it was a very fitting tribute to a great athlete and a great human being and a great personality.
Yeah, I think what I think was great about it is they embraced a lot of love in the building. There was a lot of love for the kid. I think making it a little bit humorous is the way that he would want it to go down. Mm-hmm. Obviously, then there was some touching parts. I thought the agent who did the closing was before Carly was really good on saying, you know what, we'd heard about this kid at Santa Monica High School, 16 years old, 160 pounds, wet. And they showed a lot of interest in him, and he had that 12 to or 6 to 12 or 12 to 6 curveball, and that was the big eye-opening thing for them, because he was only throwing about 84, and then his diet was terrible. It was McDonald's to Taco Bell to In-N-Out, and the guy said, "Hey, look at if we're going to pick you, in the draft, you're
gonna
going
tell
to need to change."
I'm going to tell Jake you said that.
Yeah, and he changed, and he went over and had a couple meetings with these guys and said, "Hey, look at, I'm all in," and you could tell that he wasn't going to talk to anybody else, that these guys were the guys that he was going to focus on to represent him. And he followed exactly what he needed to do, and he was committed, and ended up that was a big draft for the Angels. Get Trout one, and then they got guys like Skaggs and Haney was in a trade, and then there's a couple other guys, and they had like four or five first rounders, and a lot of them, Garrett Richards. They ended up making it all the way to the big leagues. So, it was great. It showed like what you talked about with his financial advisor, where what's different that you don't see, that you don't know about, that they expressed was, this kid started following these kids on Instagram, and then he started doing instant messages and talking to him about what he saw on Instagram, like, hey, look, you need to pitch a little bit, do this or do that for your pitching. And so he became like really, the sad thing about it is you could see that he was going to be a really good father. He's going to be a great role model for his son or daughter, and it was it was moving, that's for sure. And something tells me that they wouldn't be doing all of this stuff if it wasn't. Again, it's speculation, but if it wasn't like a brain aneurysm or something, like if there was something involved that was. I don't know.
Yeah, that all remains to be seen.
Right. You got another 60 days at least, right, to figure that out. And
his financial advisor Jeff Fishman said, first ballot Hall of Famer in the game of life, right? So what better testament to the guy? It really didn't matter that he was an exceptional athlete and was going to perhaps be a really, really good pitcher for the Angels. He was just a good guy, and I think that's everybody's hope, is that. From the beginning, we've said it. We hope that it was something, natural and tragic rather than unnatural and tragic.
Yeah. Let's stay on the baseball beat for a minute. We'll talk about the Dodgers as well. Angels suddenly look like buyers now, not sellers.
Yeah, I mean, goodbye, Mr. $11 million man, right?
Thank
Mr.
goodness.
Matt Harvey's gone, right? So
how soon will Cahill be out the door?
Right. So I just wonder if you're saying that we're buyers, right? Because I really see the Angels right now almost like a coin flip. You go either way. You could sell or you could buy, but you've got to show these guys, and you got to show Trout that you're like, hey, look at we're here to win, and we're only 5.5 behind the A's, and we're really close to that wild card. Yeah, I don't think we're going to catch the Astros unless there's something seriously goes wrong there, right? But there is a part where you could make some runs and get it and make it interesting. Mm-hmm. So what do you do? I mean, do you look at a guy like Adele that's down in the minors that everybody wants, who is a first round draft pick that Trout loves? You better get a lot of big names. I mean, what do you do? I really don't know the direction. I mean, because you're looking at Stroman probably going to the Yankees. Bumgarner, you don't know what he's going to do, right? Does he stay with the Giants? But I don't know. A Robbie Ray sounds interesting, but who you gonna? Or do you just say, you know what? We believe in our kids. Suarez, here you go. Peters had a great outing. Here you go. But it's a lot of lefties, right? So I don't know, to be honest with you. I started thinking about it today, and I'm like, do you just kind of just go, hey, look, because we got a lot of good guys in the system. Like, do we just go with these kids, or do we try to go after some of these Archers or, Robbie Rays or whatever? Is it smart, or is it? Are you? Obviously it's a gamble, right?
It depends on the strategy, and it's pretty. Look, hey, the Giants, they've won 9 out of 10, and now they're not sellers anymore, and it's like BS. BS, right? Because they're 51-50. Angels are 52-49, right? Yeah. It's like, what are you going to do? You're going to hold on, and you're going to be a buyer now, so that you can get into a one-game playoff to try to parlay that into a World Series. To me, that's absolute fiscal nonsense, right? As far as the Giants are concerned. I think with the Angels, it's a little bit different story, right? I think that the Giants have some young talent that they can rely on, and thank you, Madison Bumgarner, take your 3 rings and bring us 4 guys.
Because the Giants do have pretty good relievers. I mean, they're keeping the relievers are keeping them going.
But again, it's like I think most of those guys are under contract, and I think Farhan Zaidi is a pretty smart guy, and I think it would be an absolutely dumb thing to keep Bumgarner to try to get to that one game.
Right.
Yeah. I think you made a good point, though. I think they need to show Trout and the other players that they're in this thing. And, even if you just get to the playoff and lose the wild card, I mean, at least you're there.
But at what cost?
Yeah.
At what cost?
No, yeah.
I mean, because Trout's not a dumb guy, right? And if he sees you throwing stuff away to get a guy who is a rental,
right?
Because you're trying to get, that doesn't make any sense. But what do the Angels have to offer a team to get somebody who is still protected, under a contract for 2 years or 3 years? I say not much. Right. I say not much, which means you need to start bringing guys up. You need to start developing them, see where it takes you, and try to overachieve as long as you can. And if you don't make the playoffs, you regroup and you go after it in the offseason. Because then you'll have guys who are coming back from some injuries. You'll find out the status of where they are physically, and then you get some at-bats and some innings with some guys who haven't had a lot at the major league level.
And this series might just kind of show the Angels kind of where they stand. I mean, they're going to be playing one of the best hitting baseball teams in baseball and in the Dodgers, and this is going to be and they're going to be away, so it's going to be at Chavez Ravine. So it's going to be interesting to see, how we play the next 3 games. Now, we've always we actually have played them pretty competitively
that's the thing where I would argue, John, that I don't think that this is a true test of where the Angels are. They could sweep the Dodgers, and they might very well sweep the Dodgers. I think they're on a high. I think that they're playing pretty well. They're sort of overachieving. I don't think that says anything about whether or not they can be a good playoff team. If they beat the Dodgers in 3 straight, it's not because, hey, we can compete. It's because, you can compete, but you're not as good as them. And it's just so for me, it's like it's not a true barometer of where the Angels are. If you win 3, then you regroup and you say, maybe I can start selling some guys to make this a better team for next year. You've got Mike Trout, not to a 1-year contract, not to a 2-year contract, but to like a 13-year contract. Do not bet the farm on this season, even if you sweep the Dodgers. Because there's still a lot of emotion that has sort of elevated this team in the memory of Tyler Skaggs, right? I think that that's sort of a thing that you can ride for a while, but it sort of it puts the bear goggles on, right? You're looking at things from a different light. When that hangover comes, this is still not a very good Angels team with not a very good, staff, with some big holes to fill. And I don't think you can fill those by July 31st. I don't think that I don't think that can happen. So what you got to do is you got to build that stepping stone to get there. If you can get somebody, you get them at a good price and start building it for next year. Trout's bought in. He's in. Mm-hmm. He's in. Right? That doesn't mean he can't ask for a trade later. He's in. And he's willing to say, let's give some of these guys a chance. Let's go get somebody at a reasonable price.
I think the thing is, too, with so many apparent buyers in the market now, it's going to be tough getting somebody because competition is out there and there's going to be some good packages being offered. So that doesn't help the Angels at all with as many teams as there are thinking they can make the playoffs.
Do you find it a little interesting that the Cleveland Indians are actually, they're pretty competitive right now and they're getting close and they're really shopping around Trevor Bauer? I mean, that's he's a local kid from UCLA, and he's come up many times in trade rumors, and I go, you're only 3 games behind Minnesota or right around there, and I just find that you're wanting to trade one of your starting pitchers. It's kind of weird what's going on there. So,
What are they looking for in a trade? If they're going to trade him,
A lot.
They're going to have to. Yeah, he's like their number 2, right? I think he's their number 2 pitcher, and he's going around left and right on. They're willing to shop him, and I don't know if it's because he's tough to deal with, or they feel like
because he's only signed. He's only signed through this year,
right?
And he's got an arbitration year, right?
Right.
So
that could be a lot of money.
True,
right,
but you could win a lot of money by going on this World Series too. So I don't know. I just to me, if you're shopping your number 2 pitcher, you just showed the fans like, oh yeah, we got enough here. Like we'll just get by.
Yeah, he's an unrestricted free agent in 2021. He's got an arbitration eligible season next year. They're trying to sell high. I mean. To me, for you, it's like you don't have the luxury, right? The Angels don't have the luxury of a Trevor Bauer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, why would you do that, right? Why would you do that? But for the Indians, it feels like,
Well, yeah,
I don't want to pay this guy $30 million a year in 2 years.
Yeah.
Let somebody else pay him that contract, and let's get some guys, because Cleveland is still a mid market, right?
Yeah.
It's not
because Haney's on the IL, right? We lose Skaggs, so your ace, and you just let Harvey go. So Pena's your number 1, right? Really, if you think about it, Pena's your number 1. Yeah. Oh, what's the update with Ramirez?
I haven't heard anything
rehab.
new. I think he's got one more rehab this weekend.
Okay.
But
God,
if they bring him back, he's going to have to start. He's going to have to start.
Yeah,
they don't have any starters. I still like that Stroman from Toronto if they could nail him.
Yeah, but I think the Yankees are really interested in him. I like that guy too.
Yeah. Plus he's a player.
You're going to have to give up a lot.
Well, that's the problem when you're competing with a team like the Yankees.
They got
with a big
farm
market,
system.
they don't give a crap if they go over the luxury cap.
Right.
They're going to be able to offer more out of their farm system.
Right.
That isn't even a fair fight. That's the Angels bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Right.
Right, when they're trying to get Stroman, right? But Stroman's at a point where he has to agree. He has to approve the trade, right?
True, yeah.
So maybe he doesn't want to go to New York. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't even know where Stroman's from, or whether he would prefer L.A. over New York. I think he'd prefer just more money and winning someplace. It would be silly of Toronto to trade a guy in division. I just don't I don't understand that.
Yeah, that's right. I would.
That I don't understand.
I'd like to grab him. Anything new on the Dodgers since we talked last week?
No, they always sort of play it close to the vest, and then they're sort of. It's all sort of underwhelming. Andrew Friedman has always been notorious for, keeping things close to the vest. The Dodgers are notorious for, going out and getting somebody. And, we just haven't won anything since '88, right? None of the pre-trade, the July trades that the Dodgers have made. I read something online. I can't remember the author, what her name is, but she was researching and she said, since '88, no July trade that the Dodgers has made has panned out to anything. They hasn't got them over the hump, right? Hasn't helped them win a title. Helped them win, obviously, Ramirez trade. You get Ramirez helped them get them to the postseason, and these trades have helped them, win divisions and helped them, win pennants, but hasn't gotten them over the hump. Is that the one thing that's not getting them over the hump? It's like, well, no, but it contributes to it. I think there's just always too much put on whether somebody is going to put them over the top, right? And the Dodgers are just never, ever, ever, ever going to err on the side of a freaking Verlander over Darvish. They just aren't. They're always gonna be on the short end of that stick. It feels like, because they try to be too prudent about these things. They try to go get the bargain basement guys. So there are plenty of guys out there, and the Dodgers are really rich in prospects right now. And so for them to go out and get a guy like Felipe Vasquez, who I think has another year on, or 1 year control, or maybe 2 years, bless you, $4.5 million this year, probably tied up for that for next year, it's going to take a lot. I mean, it's going to take 3 prospects and maybe a major leaguer, I would think. And I've read certain things to get Vasquez. It would be either Ruiz or Will Smith, and Gavin Lux or Dustin May. It's going to take a lot, right? I think 2 of those guys and 2 of our other prospects, I'd do that in a heartbeat. I think our catchers are going to be great at some point, either Smith or Ruiz. One of them is going to do a really good job, but you can't play them both at the same time, right? And you got other guys that are there's a catcher at the single A level. I can't remember his name, who's pretty damn good. It just depends on what the Pirates might be willing to take. It's funny, reading the kinds of comments that come out of on Twitter from people who follow the Pirates, right? And the kinds of demands that the Dodgers are never ever going to overpay for somebody. It might look like they're overpaying because they're so rich in prospects, but it's never going to be that way, right? It's just not. It's not. And if they give up Ruiz, they still have a Smith. And if they give up a Gonsolin, they still have a May. If they give up May, they still got a Gonsolin. I don't think there's anybody like a Gavin Lux, but he's a left-handed bat who plays short, right? Are you going to move him to second? You got Muncy there.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to move him quickly into this lineup, and again, he's another left-handed bat, then go get somebody for him. Right? I mean, he's unbelievable. I mean, he's had 15 RBIs in 12 games and 12. He's just ridiculous. He had a 3,300 OPS. Ridiculous, right? I mean, it's just nonsense what he's doing at that OKC. It would hurt me not to see him play at the major league level for the Dodgers. But if we could get a relief pitcher, the quality of a Felipe Vasquez, I'd do that. We might live to regret it, but I'd do it.
Yeah.
But there are other guys out there. I don't know that the Giants would trade with the Dodgers under ordinary circumstances, but the fact that Zaidi and Friedman are friendly, it could happen. I think the asking price for a Will Smith is high, but again, it's guys like Diekman, Jake Diekman from Kansas City, who I really like, lefty out of the pen, who's only making $2.2 million. He's got a couple years left, of his contract. That would cost a lot, but I like that. Shane Green from Detroit, Will Smith from the Giants, Felipe Vasquez from the Pirates, any of those guys, But I've talked to people who say it's going to take more than one bullpen arm for the Dodgers to get over the hump, and I think I tend to agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Or for the bullpen arms that they have to become consistent, because Joe Kelly, the way that he pitched last month, and Pedro Baez, how he pitched before, how he's been pitching, and Kenley Jansen when he's on, that's a good 7, 8, 9, right? Unfortunately, they haven't been consistent.
You need do you bring
Somebody's
in the other
blowing
kid?
in.
Do you bring in a lefty to come in? The old starter.
Urias, yeah. I mean,
Urias,
I think to me that's the way that all of this gets settled is Urias and Maeda in the pen, right? Because that's what I think that's what it's going to be like.
You guys did it last year, though.
That's
right?
what it's going to be like in the postseason. But as far as I'm concerned, if you still have concerns about Urias's arm and the number of pitches he can throw, put him in the bullpen. I know that some people think that takes more of a strain because he's up more and he's throwing and he's warming up, but it's like, yeah, okay. You're not going to let him throw 100 pitches in the start.
Yeah.
Let him come in and just throw gas for a couple of innings. And Maeda is another guy who, out of the pen, changes his approach. He becomes more aggressive out of the pen. He's got fewer pitches to throw, so his mindset is different. And he said that he doesn't love pitching out of the bullpen, but he likes that he can take a different approach, which is he doesn't have to nibble. He can go right at guys. He can heat it up and throw hard right off the bat, rather than coming in and sort of building it up and holding something back because he's going to have to face these guys a second and a third time, hopefully. And we've seen Maeda in the past where his opposition batting average goes up against him the deeper he goes into a game and the at bats that happen afterwards. So. The ideal thing for me, Maeda's pitching tonight, right? He's starting tonight. For me, the ideal thing would be to have Maeda and Urias in the bullpen along with those guys, and to me that would be a nice 5, bullpen. Kenley, Pedro, Joe Kelly, Urias, Maeda.
Yeah. That would solidify that situation pretty well. Lakers signed the brother, I'm not even going to pronounce the name, of the Milwaukee MVP.
He plays for the LAFC too? Yeah.
He actually played for a G League. Who was it, Dallas?
Yeah, he was waived by, I think it was Dallas.
Yeah. He played in the G League.
Close.
Yeah. And they've signed him to, I believe it was a 2-way contract. Maybe not.
Probably.
Yeah. I wonder if they're laying groundwork for his brother, who will be a free agent in 2021. Say, come on out to L.A. and play with your brother. But,
and then they release his brother.
yeah, exactly. But that was an interesting move, and they still got one slot left on the 15-man roster. They still keep hammering away about Iguodala, but I've said it before, I'll say it again, there's no way they can afford that salary. I don't know how they would have to restructure, or even if they were able to acquire him, unless he's going to just take a minimum contract, which maybe he wants to play with LeBron, maybe he wants a championship.
So what do you, their last spot they have is this guard, forward?
Yeah, I don't think it matters.
Really?
Yeah.
It's positionless.
It's positionless basketball. It's somebody who can defend and shoot. That's pretty much it. Which
Gotcha.
Iguodala fits to a T, right? So, I would hope that they'd get somebody who could defend the point, but they've got Quinn and Rondo, who I don't think fit that bill, and the bald Mamba. He's a better defender, but he's not going to get a lot of time. I don't think. But they're targeting Iguodala, but why would the Grizzly? I don't understand.
Why would they buy him out? They were talking about buying him out. Why would they do that?
He might request that. NBA players have a lot of pull anymore, right? They don't want to play. They don't want to play, right?
That's right.
I think every one of them except Luol Deng have pull. That guy couldn't get into a NBA game for years. Did he even play this year? Did he have any minutes?
He got traded.
Yeah, I know.
Again.
But did he got traded again?
Well, from where did he go? Brooklyn or someplace?
I don't know.
He got traded to Miami or I don't know, someplace. Yeah, he didn't end up at the spot that the Lakers traded him to. But very interesting to see.
Yeah, I don't foresee Memphis trading him before the season. I don't think they can, right? I mean, I think that's more of something closer to the trade deadline.
Yeah, I think it would have to be a buyout, and I can't see that. I can't see that happening.
No.
The Clippers, nothing new there. The Chargers and Rams open camp this week.
Well, I think the thing is that we would be remiss if we didn't say that I think the Clippers would like to have Iguodala as well. So,
well, they put that on. They can afford him.
Yeah, they
got the money.
Can afford him. It's just a matter of what are they gonna give to get him?
Yeah.
What do they have?
True.
I'm unclear on that. There's some holes for the Clippers, right? At center, they go small.
Yeah.
Harrell is a good player, but he's a small center. They've got a point guard issue, right? I mean, it's
Yeah, they've got a few holes to fill.
I mean, Zubats could come in as a bigger big than Harrell. But that's all about development, because I've seen Zubats and I've really liked him, and then there are days when it doesn't look like he knows that it looks like he hasn't put his shoes on the right feet, and it doesn't look like he's ever caught a ball before. So he sometimes can be really awkward. I think he could be really good, but I think there's only about one more year left for Zubats to kind of fulfill any unused potential.
Yeah.
But he could be good. He could be really good. He could be the kind of guy that tips things, a guy who you can depend on to give you some offense as a big at the 5, and also a guy who could defend at the 5. I don't think he's totally reliable, but it could happen.
Tomorrow is Kawhi Leonard's press conference, introductory press conference.
For who?
Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, yeah.
I was listening to somebody coming in. They were Bill Plaschke was on. They were asking him how many words do you think Kawhi is going to say during his press conference? And they figure between Doc Rivers and who's his agent? Rich Paul's his agent. Who's his agent? Is it Rich Paul?
No. No.
Anyway, between his agent and Doc Rivers, they'll probably do 95% of the talking. They don't expect.
I think it's just Uncle Dennis, right?
Yeah, I think you might be right. Yeah, so that'll be something we'll learn nothing from. Also heard today that
I'm eager to hear what he has to say.
If
I'm
he
not
talks,
expecting a lot.
Yeah.
I'm expecting platitudes, right? It's great to be here. Can't wait to start back home. Shout out to Moreno Valley.
Yeah.
We're going after a title.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Goodbye.
I don't even, that's it. You'll look at Jim Hill, they'll get his question, and that'll be it, right? 1 or 2 questions.
Yeah.
I think they're going to try and stoke the fire, the LA fire, and the Magic Johnson being a bonehead thing. I don't think Kawhi will bite.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll bite. It's not about the Lakers in that press conference.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Oh, somebody's going to ask it. Somebody's going to broach it. But
yeah. I don't think there'll be a response. Not from Kawhi. Chargers, Rams.
Well, I mean, this Melvin Gordon thing is going to be serious. I have a feeling. I don't think they're even close.
Doesn't sound like it.
It sounds like the Chargers aren't willing to give in for the number that he wants, and I think they're playing the game of we've got 3 guys behind him that are ready to go, and we're gonna Eckler that is a little scrappy kind of guy. He's not gonna run over anybody, and then you got Justin Jackson, who was a very good collegiate running back. But we'll see how he goes, and we've got a kid, Johnson, I think. What's his? Detrez Newsome from Western Carolina. So obviously, I think they're going to have to go try to find somebody else, right, to get some more depth in that category, and get them ASAP, because this could be a deal where what I think it's got to go. I think he's got to go to week 10. He can go to week 10, and if he's not on the team by week 10, then he's not paid. He doesn't get paid, I don't think.
Right.
And then if he does come on week 10, then the Chargers can use him as a franchise tag and go ahead and buy him for that next year, and then let him go after that. So I don't know. I think they're going to try to come to fruition on something, but I don't think it's going to be soon. So
doesn't sound like it. Sounds like he's ready to stay away and stick to his guns. And
I mean, he had his best year ever last year, from scrimmage. So he does have a lot behind him, but it's like Vince talked about last week. It's it's 5 years. That 4 or 5 year window is as guys start breaking down, and yes, do they deserve more money? No doubt about it. They ran through walls for you. I think he deserved
trying to get more money, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to realize as a team that we're willing to pay you, but you're not worth Ezekiel Elliott money. Type of deal. So
no.
You're gonna get money,
Right.
but I don't think
Yeah.
you're an elite running back to get the, you need to be more, and I don't know, maybe they're gonna try to get what they can as high as they can go to where they know where their number is, and whatever's in between that is golden, right? Who knows?
I mean, I think there's plenty of general managers and front office guys in the NFL who abide by the never give a running back a second contract, right? I think there's plenty of those. I don't think that's necessarily the case here for the Chargers, but they're not going to overpay. They won't overpay. He's not going to get what he wants. They're not going to overpay, and I think they'd be willing, even though it may alienate a lot of their fans, I don't think they're willing to pay that. But I think what we've seen is, does Melvin Gordon feel like a really beloved guy? Is the city really going to get behind Melvin Gordon?
Right.
You don't see Melvin Gordon getting girly commercials,
Yeah, I don't think so. So I don't think this is one of those things that you can play out in the press, right, or in the court of public opinion. I don't think it happens like that, where you put so much pressure and there's such a racket. I think that NFL fans tend to be those guys who say, you're making a lot of money, just shut up and play. And I've said before, look, they're not guaranteed contracts. It's not guaranteed money. These guys are expendable. They get hurt. They're putting their bodies on the line. They should try and get whatever they can. But that doesn't mean the team has to pay for him, right? And I don't think the Chargers should pay for him. But there's going to be a point where somebody's going to blink, right? Somebody's got to blink, right? And Phillip Rivers is going to be looking over there and going, number one, okay, you're protecting me. You're keeping me upright. But you got to balance this out, because if all we're doing is throwing, if I'm throwing 50 times a game, they're just going to pin their ears back and come after me. It doesn't matter how good they're protecting on the front line; they're going to knock me down. So at some point, you're going to have to decide what kind of money you're going to invest in keeping Phillip Rivers, that investment, safe, right? And it's going to take. They might end up paying more than they would have wanted to with Gordon because of that, just to keep it balanced on offense.
Would he be smart to sit out? Well, you don't get paid if you sit out.
Like he was saying, you don't get paid
up till 10.
But they
because Le'Veon Bell last year.
Yeah, it says right here he needed to return by week 10 in order to get credit for the final year of his contract. Los Angeles could then use the franchise tag and try to trade him in the offseason.
I just don't think it's going to do him any good to sit out the year and then come back next year and demand a gargantuan contract.
Well, you think about this, right? He comes back at week 10 and he gets hurt.
Yeah.
Now, you're really kind of rolling the dice, right? So, I think both sides are going to play tough, and then somebody's going to have to break, right? And if one or two guys go down for the Chargers, then Chargers are going to have to break. If the Chargers are doing really well with the 3 guys or 4 guys that they have, then maybe Melvin Gordon might have to break if he wants to come back. So, but his ego has come out and said, I'm willing to sit the whole entire season and not do anything. So we'll see. But this is a rookie contract that he's dealing with. He's not, he hasn't signed like this $30 million deal, and now he's wanting to sit out,
Right.
So,
Right.
It's rookie money. It's not like he's got big dough. So, curious to see. I'm curious to see who's out there as a running back right now, but I would assume they brought in guys for the camp.
I'm sure they're anticipating this, and like you say, bringing in possible guys that could be backups or starters and increase the depth at that position. With a look towards Gordon not coming back, so
yeah.
I can see where that would be a possibility.
it's a rough road without him. There's no question about that. In a very, in a division that they could be competitive in, it's a house of cards. Without Gordon, it doesn't feel like they can do the same types of things they did last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Chargers understand that, and it's like I think there's something sort of smart about what Gordon's doing in the sense that it's like Phillip Rivers right there, right towards the end of his career, and it's like, you're going to do this to me, front office? I mean, do you really think? I mean, when they call Phillip Rivers in and go talk to the owner, the GM, and he's in there, do you think Phillip Rivers is like, yeah, you stick by your guns, guys? Let's get this guy back on the team. You just stick by your guns. Or do you think Phillip Rivers is really going, this is how the last years of my career are playing out? Right? Me having to throw the ball 50 times a game?
Ending up on my back more often than I want to be. Yeah.
They acquired Jeremy Cox out of Old Dominion as an undrafted free agent. Cox rushed for 2,175 yards and 23 touchdowns on 441 carries. That's 4.9 yards per carry. He also added 75 career catches for 532 yards in the score. So that's the other guy that they just went out and got real quick, just in case. But Gordon is looking at making $5.6 million this season under his fifth-year option. So, I think the Chargers got a lot of questions to be answered. So
they do, yeah.
So
it's a tough situation to be in, and like you say, if you're Phillip Rivers, like Vinny said, you don't want to be throwing the ball 50 times a game. And
I'm looking at Conference USA. Those stats don't impress me. I mean, I'm sure he's got to be pretty good. That was a team that was 4-8 last year, and they were playing teams like Florida Atlantic, Charlotte, Florida International, Marshall, Middle Tennessee is in their side of their division in the conference. Western Kentucky.
Those are teams that
battle.
Those are teams that battle for the Sun Bowl.
Louisiana Tech, Southern Miss, Texas San Antonio, Rice, Texas El Paso. Yeah, those numbers don't impress me. You got to be gaining.
I might be wrong. There might have been the Chick-fil-A Bowl that they've battled for.
You got to give me more than 4.9 in that conference, buddy.
You could rush for 4.9.
Yeah, thanks. I couldn't rush for half a yard before I pull a hamstring.
How about a little recap on the weekend? Your buddy Lee Fleetwood came in second. Not bad.
Yeah, that
got a little heat here from my partner, but
how'd that place money come in on your second guy there?
Yeah, better than your pick. I didn't see any picks out of you. Yeah,
I know better than
I came in second, fourth, 6th, 2 11ths, and a 51st. Not bad, but I couldn't be happier for Shane Lowry. It's just a great story.
Well, yeah, that's perfect.
It was
Firebrook tale.
I know there was a big decision for the RNA to bring, the Open Championship to Northern Ireland. There's a lot of great players recently that have come out of Northern Ireland. So you've got guys like Rory and Darren Clark and G-Mac, trying to push the whole deal. They pushed. And the people responded. The crowds were phenomenal. The players backed it up. They said it's one of the best golf courses they've ever played. Other than the history and what you get at St. Andrews, this is either better or as equal as any other course that we play in the rotation.
Wow.
It was leaked by the RNA that it will be coming back to Portrush. They just don't know when, but it will be coming back to Portrush.
Good.
They were very happy with the logistics of everything, on how everybody was shuttled in and the support that the people had. Now, having Shane in the lead was gigantic, which is going to draw more people down from the Dublin area to come up, and buy the ticket to root him on. But he throws 63 at him on Saturday, which was absolutely huge. due to the fact that he knew that weather was coming. It was not going to play easy on Sunday. They knew that Saturday was really a big moving
Your last
day.
chance.
Right, to try to get near. So Tommy Fleetwood shoots 66 on Saturday and still is 4 back going into Sunday. And Sunday, they knew the weather is you're going to have to get off to a big start early and then try to hold on in the middle of the round to later in the round because it's going to be blowing 25 to 30 sideways and raining. So it was going to be hard. So, Shane, the first hole was gigantic. Tommy Fleetwood's got it probably 20-something feet for birdie, and Shane's got it 8 feet for bogey. And, there could be a big flip there. Tommy misses and Shane makes, so he's only dropped one shot where he could have dropped 2 or 3 shots there.
Right.
And that would have been, now all of a sudden it's really tight. Now, you don't have that comfort zone. But then Shane started making a couple birdies and getting that bogey back and started making a nice little run there on number 5 and then made bogey, I think, on 14, but then came back with birdie on 15. Birdie on 15 was gigantic. Because that just allowed him to, and he noticed, he was watching the board a lot and found out that nobody's
Scoreboard watching.
nobody's making birdies because it's just playing so hard.
What was 15 playing? What was the length on 15?
Oh, it was he hit driver 9-iron or driver wedge into it, but I think he made a 10-footer, and that was just big because Tommy was struggling a little bit. I think there was only, I have it down here. Only 2 players broke par that finished in the top 10. Wow. So it just kind of showed you. And Finau was one of them. And then I think Hatton, broke par coming in. Maybe McIntyre. Might have been three or 4 people. So, no, Finau shot even par. Sorry, 2 people. McIntyre and Tyrell Hatton were the only 2 that broke par. But it was great. So then, now he has a 3-shot or 4-shot lead on Tommy Fleetwood coming down after 15, and the next guy to him after that is, probably 6 shots back, and you got 3 holes to play. Now, if you give all 6 shots back, and you deserve to lose,
yeah,
right?
That's right.
But he more or less can just play bogey golf in and still win, right? Type of deal. But he was still striking it, and he was just in a groove to where he had everybody on that property that was rooting for him, and had dinner with him in Austin, Texas, in March at the Dell, and March or April. But he was one of the nicest guys. I sat down with him and Bo, which is his caddy, who he brought on board last year and became best friends. Bo's a great player himself, a club champ out of his club in Ireland, and just had a nice little round table with a couple friends, and he treated it like you were one of the guys. He was just a really down-to-earth, nice guy, and it's going to be, well, I know Vince might have liked this, but he doesn't have to pay for a drink for the rest of his life in Ireland. So
Neither do you.
So it was great. But there was some things that I saw statistically that I wanted to I felt like there was big names that didn't prepare right. So Justin Rose, Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, some big names didn't go over there and really play. And some of them played in the tournament before, but the Irish Open, I think, was the key there. And I want to say Lowry, Fleetwood, Westwood, Hatton, McIntyre, these are guys that all came in the top 10. They all played in the Irish Open. And the reason I bring this up is Lahinch and the Irish Open is a true links golf course. Now, again, 2 weeks prior, which is the Irish Open and the Scottish Open, the weather was very mild. The Irish Open had a little bit of rain, but it was gone by 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was, so they really didn't, really what they were going to see at Port Rush, they really didn't get to see in the Scottish Open was kind of a man-made kind of links country club deal that turned into a putting contest. I think 23 or 24 under par won the golf tournament. So the guys that actually played in the Irish Open got to play and recognize bounces and how you got to hit some shots into a true links golf course, which I think prepared them more for Port Rush.
Right.
So knowing that Port Rush is just right up the road from Lahinch, I would have played at Lahinch and then took that next week off and then
Yeah.
just drove up to Port Rush and played it for a
Yeah.
week and a half straight, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I want to say Tuesday or Wednesday of the practice rounds, it was blowing 40 miles an hour. So there's nothing you can really prepare for, right? Knowing that you're not going to see that possibly till Sunday. So
Yeah, you mentioned that last week about preparation for that tournament.
yeah, so and Tiger just goes from the U.S. Open to the and then now they're talking.
I would suggest though that Tiger Woods' woes weren't about preparation.
No, I mean
right?
the coldness in his back, and there's some talks about he was kind of not feeling the best also, but I still think he should have played in one of those,
Right.
just to prepare for it. But I know he went on vacation with his mom and the kids and stuff. But
I think that's something. I think that's just a testament to him listening to his body at this point. That maybe he couldn't.
mm-hmm.
Maybe he just couldn't. He felt like he could just go in there and play well enough. I think that whether he prepared in advance and played prior to that, I don't think it would have helped him at all. I think he would have been sore and out of it either way, whether he was well prepared or whether he kind of came in cold. So just because of his body and what's happening with him health wise.
But now they seem to think that he's going to be coming back, and playing in the FedEx, the stretch here all the way to the finish, to Atlanta, Georgia, and they think he's going to be playing pretty good due to the fact that it's all hot. So his back's not going to have an issue, right? So he's it's going to be, lubed up and and warm, and he's going to be able to, react like he's supposed to react. So they seem to think that Tiger will be tough in these FedEx tournaments.
I have a few questions for you. Number one,
Are they multiple choice?
One was
Yes or no?
Who was the caddy who you said was going to help somebody the best? Who knew the course? You said that.
Oh yeah, Koepka's. But see, what hurt Koepka, right? Koepka is a repetitive. How do I want to say this? He goes with the flow of the pace. He plays on the quicker side, and Holmes is a human rain delay, right? JB Holmes shot 87 the last round, and he looked at everything from every single direction, right?
He dropped anchor.
He's a
on
sloth,
every hole.
right? There was a part where Koepka's just walked off the green, like he's plumb bobbing from 10 feet. And Koepka's like, you're 20 over par. Like, let's go, right? And he just
sprained his eyeballs.
He just
rolling at him.
walked. He walked off to the next tee, which etiquette-wise, it's not the right thing to do. But Koepka's like, and he's advocate on saying we need to play faster out here. Like, let's play faster. Like, see ball, hit ball, right?
Yeah, if the guy was one stroke back, you might be able to justify
right.
it.
This guy,
Right, and that's a
Ridiculous.
courtesy thing, right? I mean, if your partner's, your pairing is in the hunt, speed it up.
Yeah, you're 15 over par, and you're looking at a 5-footer like you're going to win the golf tournament, right? So, he just needs to realize that. So that didn't help, right? And he still came in fourth, right? So you could see it got to him. Right?
There it is, and I think that's the thing that I'm coming to at this point, which is like for somebody who follows golf as closely as you do, it's no surprise that the world number one Koepka is like in the hunt every time. But I think there's some
in a major,
right? He's in the hunt all the time. He's right there. He's going to be around it. Do you think that's what we're going to see from Koepka from now on? Is this the guy he is?
Well, I think he's come out and said, I don't practice into preparation for a regular PGA event. He has woke up and say, look at my focus is majors, right? And probably Ryder Cup, right? Or President's Cup, Ryder Cup, anything that's a major play. Then, I mean, if you could tell him you can only play in the majors, he might just show up right into the majors. But obviously, I think you got to play in 12 to 15 tournaments a year. It's in the rules. So you watch. I think after the U.S. Open, he had already said he was playing the next week, and he looked at the camera and said, "I don't even know where I'm at. I'm such a zombie right now. I have no clue what day it is. I don't even know what I shot. I don't know." He goes, "I'm really thinking what I'm going to do after a major from this point on, because I give it so 110%." And Kevin Na said it too. When they get into the Masters, He's like, I don't understand how people can go to South Carolina. I mean, obviously, I know why they go there, but I am so physically and mentally drained after the Masters because that is not an easy golf course to walk. He goes, I am wasting money going next week. The next week, I might as well just go and get a kid out of the crowd to carry my bag, tell my caddy to go take the week off, and just walk for 36 holes and say, all right, I'm going home. Like it's not, it's winning majors is kind of what, you're known for, right? It's winning majors gets you into the Hall of Fame.
Load management in golf,
right?
That's
right.
There you go.
You had another question.
That was the question was about Koepka, but my last question would be, when do we see him again?
You'll see him in the FedEx. So,
Okay.
so he's number one. So he'll probably take. Again, some of these guys have sponsors, so you'd have to look at and see. I think he's a lot of Nike, but I don't know what else he's got. But I think it's like 4 tournaments in a row here. So a lot of the big guys might take Memphis off, and then you'll see them. They'll do a stretch of 3 in a row and end up in Atlanta. And then what's going to be quite interesting is prepping these guys and getting them ready to go for the President's Cup, because the President's Cup and the Ryder Cup usually are September. But because the President's Cup is in Australia, it's not till December.
Right,
so now these guys
in Australia.
So now they're going to have to say, okay, wow, I might have to start playing more in November to get ready for December, especially if you're on that border of making the team or not making the team.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've heard rumors, I mean, it's probably going to be bigger there than it is here. The President's Cup here is not that big of a big deal. I like that we have it because now you got our guys, playing Ryder Cup type format.
Right.
But I really believe that you would never get this out of the PGA Tour because the PGA of America and the PGA Tour don't like each other.
Right.
So I would really like the PGA Tour or the guys that are on the task force for the for the Ryder Cup to really say, look, Phil, look, Tiger, look, you veterans that are probably going to be playing in the Ryder Cup. Why don't you guys be assistant coaches, right? And let's get the Kisners and these younger kids, and you never know, we might find a new kid that could fit in as a team for a team, like how we found a Spieth and Reed, or how we found a Fowler with somebody else. Like it's something I think we need to, the Xander Schauffele's, and these younger players need to get involved in this to prep them and get them ready to go for the Ryder Cup, which is 50 times bigger than the President's Cup, right?
Right.
But obviously that's not going to go down the criteria because they're not, the PGA of America, the PGA Tour is going to say, no, you're not listening to those guys. This is about us here. We don't listen to them. They don't listen to us. It's kind of they don't like each other type of deal. So, but that's, hopefully I hope Tiger, Tiger's the captain of the President's Cup this year. So, his ego is so big that I'm going to be a player's captain just because he wants to. He shouldn't, he shouldn't. If you're the captain, you're the captain. Let these other guys play. But I'm curious to see who he brings on board. I think he said he's brought on Freddie and Stricker are going to be his. Well, Stricker will be on there because he's the Ryder Cup captain. So those 2 guys for sure are his assistant captains. I think he's going to pick 2 more or 3 more. So, but.
Cool.
All right.
So I don't have to pick anybody from my majors are over.
Yeah,
Had actually an okay streak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't do too
Absolutely.
bad.
Yeah.
Is that going to wrap it up?
I think so. I don't think I got anything else for you.
All right. We are out.
Good night.
Peace.